Hello and welcome to Dingoes Ate My Podcast. I'm Paul.
I'm Dave.
I'm Justin.
And it's movie night!
This week we're talking about the episode Restless.
Where it is movie night within the episode.
Yes.
Apparently.
So this episode originally aired May 23rd, 2000. Okay, this might take a little while to get through the plot synopsis.
Because of the fact that it was movie night or because of all the additional stuff?
Well, because there's a lot of stuff going on.
Well, yeah,
Well,
we
there
got
are
different
the four
scenarios. We got the Willow, we got the Xander, the Giles, and the Buffy.
Let me see if I can get through this. Okay. Following their victory over Adam, Buffy, Xander, Willow, and Giles meet at Buffy's to relax with movies, including Apocalypse Now, because that's a relaxing time.
Yeah!
You've never seen Apocalypse Now, have you, David?
No!
Sounds like another B movie.
Okay, you don't know what Apocalypse Now is, do you?
No.
We'll need to move on and fix that problem, I'm sure.
I'm not going to show you Apocalypse Now.
Duly noted.
You can watch it on your own. It is a movie that takes place during the Vietnam War, and it is, let's just say, not exactly a popcorn movie. Anyway, they quickly fall asleep and are confronted by the first Slayer in their dreams.
Spoilers!
It's the guy with cheese.
We will get to the Cheese Man later.
Okay.
Willow's dream opens with Willow painting a love poem on Tara's back.
That's in Greek.
Yes. Very good.
Yes, it had Greek letters. The first letter had pi, so yay.
Yes. I don't know what it actually all says.
I can't read Greek.
Yeah, I couldn't give you a translation of what it says, but that's what it is.
I wouldn't be too surprised if it's an actual love poem for...
Oh, no, it is.
What
I'm sure it is.
That's the case.
She finds herself on the Sunnydale High School stage about to perform in a radically changed Death of a Salesman. Because apparently there's a cowboy in it now.
Oh man, that cowboy!
Which is played by Riley.
Of course. But then also, surprise cameo by a particular person who was a vampire. Yay!
Yes, Harmony. Harmony makes a brief appearance, pretending, making like she's going to bite Giles.
And Seth Green is back, or Oz, for this episode.
Yes, he is very briefly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. In a radically changed Death of the Salesman, with Riley playing a cowboy. Buffy and Harmony are also in the play. Harmony goofily trying to bite Giles' neck. Willow realizes with increasing uneasiness that she knows neither her lines nor her role. Buffy then takes Willow to stand in front of a classroom in the same nerdy clothes she wore in Welcome to the Hellmouth and The Harvest. A little callback to the first episodes. At the beginning of the series, Xander mocks her as she nervously begins reading her book report on The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Anyway, Oz and Tara, Willow's ex-boyfriend and current girlfriend, flirt with each other while watching Willow recite. Suddenly, Willow is attacked and has the life sucked out of her body by the first Slayer.
Oh no!
Xander's dream begins with him waking up on Buffy's couch. After excusing himself to use the restroom, he finds himself the object of an attempted seduction by Joyce. 10 on 10.
If on the absolute creep scale, that makes perfect
It's
sense.
super funny.
I just love how a lot of the ladies in Xander's dream just wants to seduce him.
It's so funny.
And starting with the first one, no, why, no!
He walks into the restroom, starts to unzip, and then realizes the bathroom is attached to a larger white room with many men in white coats ready to observe and take notes on his performance.
Darted the initiative, why is it that you have to go to this when all the monster capturing stuff went to heck?
I'm just gonna go to the other bathroom.
He then meets Buffy, Giles, and Spike in a playground. Spike, unaffected by daylight, tells him that Giles is going to teach him to be a watcher. As Buffy plays in the sandbox, Xander then finds himself in an ice cream truck with Anya. Willow and Tara, wearing revealing clothing and garish makeup, are in the back, and they invite him to join them. They do go to kiss each other, but we don't actually see that.
No, just kind of Xander's expression.
This is the WB, and we can't show that. That's bad.
Yeah.
Just have kissy noises in the background, at least.
Yeah.
Sure. Maybe next season.
Yes, next season.
Okay.
Yeah. Where was I? And they invite him to join him. He tries to do so, only to end up in the basement where his parents allow him to live.
Oh, and I love this, whole, no cut through all the sets. That was so cool.
So that's done because a lot of these sets actually were next to each other. So it was just written in a way that you could flow between them without having to make cuts.
That's so cool, though.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because it works so well. He goes to the university and he comes across Giles, who starts revealing the reason for his dream, but who suddenly starts speaking in French. Unfortunately, I don't speak French, so I couldn't tell you what he was saying.
Yeah, sadly, for learning how much French I have, it's not enough to understand all the stuff they were talking
We had to
about.
take French through grades 6 or something. No, maybe it was later, grade 8.
In my case, I never really touched upon it until I got into high school.
Really? You didn't have to take...
in my case.
Wow, I had to take French from grade 3 to grade 8.
With me, it was more like grade 5 through grade 8. Except most of the time I just use Google Translate. I'm not really good at learning French.
I started learning French in grade 3.
Sadly.
All I know now is bonjour.
Comment ça va bien? Yay! I don't really know much more French.
Yeah, we're terrible Canadians. We're not bilingual.
Well, it is also the case of learning French and Quebec French.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
Xander finds himself in a reenactment of the Apocalypse Now scene between a captive Captain Benjamin Willard and Colonel Walter Kurtz, with Principal Snyder as Kurtz.
Another cameo!
Yes, it will be, again, his last appearance on the show.
So good to see him again.
Yes. Throughout the sequence, Xander finds himself in his basement again and is chased by an unseen pursuer who is revealed as the first Slayer when she tears his heart out. Giles' dream begins with Giles swinging a watch in front of Buffy. They are in Giles' apartment, which has been stripped of furniture but for a chair and a bed. She laughs, and Giles' dream cuts to a family scene with Buffy and his girlfriend Olivia at the fairground. Quicker than the others to understand that something is wrong, he confronts Spike, who is posing for a photo shoot in his crypt. 10 on 10.
Because, of course, they had to throw the bone to the fans who absolutely adore Spike.
Can you take a picture of a vampire?
In the Buffy universe, I believe so, yes.
Okay. They can't see themselves in the mirror, though.
Yes.
And I think it is within the case that photos aren't very effective to be taken with vampires, or...
No, I don't think there's an issue with it in the Buffy lore.
Well, just more in general with the basis of vampires.
Yeah, no, so if you go with traditional vampire lore, you can't photograph them. But I believe in the Buffy lore, they show up in recordings and stuff, so I don't see why a picture would be any different.
Okay.
Because we see them in surveillance footage.
Oh, true. With everything within the initiative.
Fair, yeah.
So I don't see why a photo would be an issue, but...
Okay.
Photo shoot in his crypt. In the bronze, he meets Anya, failing as a stand-up comic, and Willow and Xander with a bloody chest wound, who warn him of their attacker. He breaks into song, giving suggestions on how to deal with what haunts them.
A beautiful song.
It's great.
It's amazing.
It's so good.
And even more so than that, just with Giles entering, missing out on the study session with Willow and Xander.
And they're holding up their lighters. It's so good.
It's great.
But when the sound system breaks down, he crawls backstage to trace a wiring fault. He begins to realize his pursuer is the first Slayer, just as she scalps him. In the final dream sequence, Buffy is awoken by Tara in her dorm room. She then finds herself in her room at home, where Tara speaks cryptically about the future. We'll get to this later. At the university, Buffy talks to her mother, who lives in the walls. Why? Then Riley at the initiative, who has been promoted to Surgeon General, and is drawing up plans with Adam, who is now in a human form, for world domination.
With coffee makers.
Smart coffee makers.
It's diabolical.
The three of them are interrupted by a demon attack, and Riley and Adam start to make a pillow fort. Yes, this actually happened on an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. When Buffy finds her weapons bag, the only thing in it is mud, which she smears on her face. She is then transported to the desert and finally confronts the pre-verbal first Slayer. Tara is present to speak for her. Through Tara, the first Slayer tells Buffy that she cannot have friends and work must be done, which Buffy rejects. The Slayers then fight in the desert, and then Buffy in Buffy's living room next to her dying friends, until Buffy realizes that she can stop the fight mentally by simply ignoring the first Slayer. She refuses to fight and walks away from the first Slayer. The first Slayer vanishes, and everybody wakes up. Basically, she defeats her the same way that Freddy is beaten in the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Okay.
Which is a reference neither of you get, is it?
I got the basis, but again, haven't really seen the first movie in quite some time.
You're not real, Freddy.
No.
Yeah. Okay, anyway. After they wake up, the four of them then discuss the significance of having tapped into the power of the first Slayer. And Buffy privately recalls Tara's words from her dream as she looks into her bedroom. And credits roll. So what was about that cheese guy, huh?
I want to mention, make a reference that Tara had a tarot card.
Boo.
Sorry.
Nah. Well,
Just kind of seemed like a pun somewhere there.
nah. Just trying to remember with Mr. Cheese Gentleman. I can't remember the first line where he's showing Xander the plate of cheese, but I do remember.
I think it's "This will not protect you."
Oh, okay, but then
That's one of them.
This cheese are evenly spaced or something. I don't know.
My favorite is "I wear the cheese; it does not wear me."
Yes, when he runs into Giles.
It's so good.
I don't think he says anything specifically with Buffy, but it's just coming. It's like I got
Just like cheese. It's so good. It's so good. So for international titles, in French, Nightmare. In Portuguese,
Fair.
Unrest. And in German, To Each His Nightmare.
Yay!
That makes sense.
And for music,
Giles. The song.
Christoph Beck doing the original score, and we have Anthony Stewart Head, who's the guy who plays Giles, and Four Star Mary, the band who do the Dingo stuff, have the exposition song. Which is what it's called.
Song.
Which I love that it's just called the exposition song.
That's great.
Because that's the entire point of it. So what do you guys think of this episode?
It was definitely interesting for showing the particular ideas and going through all those particular moments. I'd sadly have to say it made more sense in comparison to another episode from another series that did something similar. I think just with the context, and we kind of understand everything a bit more within Buffy's lore in comparison to Twin Peaks lore, which can kind of get...
But I just love how the decor for Willow's nightmare was, very Black Lodge-esque.
Oh, yeah.
Twin Peaks.
She's walking through the velvet red curtains and everything. It's clearly a Twin Peaks reference.
Yeah.
It's just missing the statue and the flooring.
And the people that speak backwards but forwards, it's weird.
I still think that's one of the greatest things ever.
It's so sad if nobody had that particular talent. Oh my goodness, Harmony was showing up as a vampire around Giles. It's like, stop it!
Stop it! That's annoying. Giles is great. So, the first Slayer.
Yes.
What'd y'all think of that?
It is most definitely, most probably what the first Slayer would most likely look like.
Yes. So, there is a reference in this episode. Somebody says... I don't remember who says it, but somebody says something to the effect of, "You're not a demon." And Buffy has kind of a look and she says, "Oh, really?" Or something like that. Keep that in mind.
Oh, boy.
That will come back later. There's a lot from this episode that is going to come back later.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
the cheese guy.
No, unfortunately, I don't believe we will see the Cheese Man again.
We must keep the memory of the Cheese Man alive.
But, okay, well, explain the cheese man.
I can't. He's just he's just there because it's a dream, and they wanted to have something that was just really dreamlike. And it's just a weird thing that just pops up. There's no significance to the Cheese Man.
Seriously?
No, he's just there because it's a dream.
I was hoping he had more significance.
No.
Then we shall give him more significance. The Cheese Man shall be forever living within this channel. Ain't that right, Mr. Cheese Man?
What a odd thing to have just there, though. What the heck?
I mean, okay, if you want to give the Cheese Man added significance, you could say that it's the first evil popping up to check on Buffy after their initial encounter earlier on, and before he reappears, but that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
I thought it was more of a reference, like, going back to when Riley was trying to hit on Buffy.
Oh, okay. That's a lot of I didn't even think of that. That's fun.
The cheese?
I didn't even think of that, but that's good.
Yeah.
Buffy likes cheese.
Okay, so, what do you know about Dawn?
Absolutely nothing, because
Aside
we
from
never really got much of anything out of it.
Okay, so, I'm going to give some minor spoilers for early Season 5. Like, the first couple episodes.
Yeah.
So, Dawn is Buffy's sister. However, okay, how do I explain this in a way that will make sense? Quickly. Okay, so Dawn is going to be human, and she is the biological sister of Buffy from both of her parents, right?
Okay.
Basically, they had a second daughter. However, she is also technically a mystical power of living energy called the Key, which is formed into a human form by a bunch of monks. I think Justin just had a stroke.
And in my case, I now can't stop thinking about Kingdom Hearts. Thanks a lot, Paul.
Nah, I couldn't stop thinking about Ghost in the Shell.
So she will be human, but she will also have greater significance.
Well, supposedly,
Yeah,
this is
But,
Buffy.
but she doesn't have, like, superpowers or anything.
She's just a human with a special little thing that supposedly affects the stuff.
And their family's so screwed.
Also, one of the fun things they will do early in Season 5 is everybody will just act as though Dawn's been there since day one.
Man, it's just like, what's that character? Like, pretending he was the best guy. Jonathan, yeah.
Basically, yes.
Great, I can't wait.
Dawn is a character that will be divisive. You will either like Dawn or you will hate Dawn.
In comparison to Faith, where it's a case of new character and supposedly it'd be good, but, you know, stuff happens.
Well,
So, a lot of people dislike Dawn because they find her whiny and annoying.
Well, it's a younger sister sort of archetype, and if they're going to
Yeah.
stick with this typical road that they're most likely going to stick to, that's not surprising.
and worse, yeah, they forced it on everyone, pretty much.
Oh, hey, Buffy's got a sister!
I guess.
Now? No, she's always had a sister. We're just telling you now.
Oh yeah, right. I remember in none of the episodes.
Well, they do it in a way that it's like, well, like, she's a sister, but she's created magically. Sort of. It's hard to explain.
I'm really going to have to wait for the episode to kind of explain it, because it's not making a lot of sense here.
It's hard to explain, but you will learn to like it. You will learn.
I will learn to despise the creators of the episode for this.
Okay, do either of you have any questions for me about what we're going to see next season, or something that's happened that might come back, or anything like that?
I guess we're gonna get into how this Slayer thing is passed down eventually.
I mean, I can explain it as best I can. So basically, when one Slayer is killed, another is chosen. There are multiple potential Slayers out there, but then when one dies, another one is chosen by the powers that be.
Sure,
Oh.
but how was it from the first one? Was it always like? Was it something that the first one chose to happen somehow?
Well, no. So the first Slayer would have had her powers given to her by the powers that be, and then after she died, they gave those powers to another one.
Oh, just kind of a case of, oh man, there's all this crazy stuff happening. We might need a person to supposedly fix this.
Yeah.
Hey, you random person. You the Slayer, go take care of this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Later on, oh. this
Like, we're
person
talking
kinda
about this.
died.
This would have started during, like, early Man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like the powers that be are just like, okay, you're the new Slayer.
Bleh. I wonder what they thought after the whole Buffy incident. It's like, oh, looks like that one Slayer died. Let's go pick up. Oh, wait, she's still alive?
Yes.
Oh, we
so
got two now?
yes, there are currently 2 Slayers.
Yep.
So keep that in mind for season 5.
Oh man, just wait until we get the third one.
And 4th, and 5th, and 6th, and 7th.
And also season 7. Well, there'll be a whole other thing there, but then you're gonna. I think Justin's gonna get pissy in season 7.
I would
Maybe.
not
I
be
don't know.
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if even I got pissy with all this particular
Either
stuff.
way, I didn't get pissy with this episode. It wasn't bad.
No, with this case, it wasn't too bad. I question, though, the entrance of supposed Xander's father with all that stuff, but yeah, Xander's was kind of all over the place, where everyone else's was kind of a little bit more direct with all the particular stuff that it went with.
Yes. I really like the dream sequences. I think they're all really fun.
No, they kind of keep the couple particular points, but I guess my question is, are we going to get resolution for those particular sorts of things, or are they always going to be character flaws?
Like, what do you mean?
Well, with Willow's case of, she's this thing, though everyone thinks she's this thing. Is that going to be resolved to a particular point, or is it just going to be a thing of her character? It's like, oh, hey, it's Willow, but it's not really Willow. She's hiding the other thing.
I don't really know what you mean, but I don't, like, okay, explain to me what you mean again, because I'm missing something here.
Best sort of scene is Willow's book report within her dream of Buffy saying, "You're still wearing your costume." I'm not wearing a costume. It's like, yes, you are. Just take it out. And I was like, oh, no.
Oh, like, you mean, like, will Willow get, like, more confident?
I suppose.
Yeah.
I think of it more as just everything that Willow has become in comparison to what most everyone thinks of what Willow is.
Yeah, Willow will definitely... Like, okay, so people will definitely view Willow differently soon.
I question, though, is it the case of within her dream, is that the case with her, or is that kind of the case of what she thinks everyone else thinks of her?
I can't answer that.
Yeah, it's dream sequences. It can be kind of weird.
Yeah, okay. So I did tell a slight lie. The Cheese Man will appear in one other episode. But I believe it's only using old footage from this episode.
Ah, darn it.
Anyway.
In that case, back to the original plan of keeping the Cheese Man alive.
Okay.
Ain't that right, Mr. Cheese Man?
So the Cheese Man is not going to be resolved at all then. Okay, fine.
No.
Fine.
No. Justin, do you have any questions about where we're headed?
Apparently not Cheeseland.
No, we are not going to Cheeseland.
But I don't really have any questions.
Okay. David, do you have any other questions about where we might be headed in Season 5?
No, I've come to accept the fact that we're not driving straight off a cliff and just going along the cliff, so along all the crazy twists and turns that we're going to go along.
I have good news for both of you. Season 5, Episode 1, Buffy vs. Dracula.
Yay!
Wow, Buffy against an actual iconic vampire character.
Yay! I can't wait.
Buffy faces the infamous Count Dracula, who has come to Sunnydale to make her one of his concubines. In the process, he turns Xander into a Renfield of sorts, and Giles becomes enthralled with the three sisters, much like Jonathan Harker in the novel. However, after a brief spell, during which Buffy is mesmerized by the Count, she regains her composure and defeats him.
Typical
Spoilers.
defeats him. Typical
Yeah,
defeats
shocking.
him.
Dracula gets defeated at the end of the episode. Dracula isn't going to be your big bad for the season.
Sadness.
Well, yeah. I kind of don't expect Dracula to be a big bad in Buffy.
No, but our big bad will be glorious.
Okay.
I'm not particularly keen on the face you're giving me with that, but okay, we'll go with it.
Yes, so the big bad for Season 5 will be called Glory.
Oh, he was making a pun.
I was indeed.
He was making a pun.
I was making a funny.
Yep, you did.
I did
Good
indeed.
job.
So, if there's nothing else from either of you, that's going to be it for this week. I'm Paul.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Justin.